let go of expectations about how things should be, or you wish it would be, or that it should be the same as Japan or wherever. But when you let go of those expectations, you could really start to enjoy.
Hi, Noble Community. Thank you for joining us today in the Expat Daily. Today we have Nami Shihara with us. So, Nami, can you please introduce yourself? Where are you from, and also how long have you lived in Jakarta?
Sure. I'm Nami Shihara. I'm originally from Japan, but I've grown up in the US and Japan. I've been in Jakarta for a little over 3.5 years.
3.5 years, okay. So it's quite decent time.
I would say I'm been here a long time.
Yeah. Tell us your experience when you arrive and then looking for your house now. How was it? Like, how was the expectation when you were still in the US? And then what was in your imagination? Like, what did you ever imagine that you will live in a house, or you wanted an apartment initially, or how?
Yeah, I don't know if I had expectations because I knew that Jakarta was a very big city, but I really wanted to live in a place with green, like with lots of plants and a garden.
Yes.
But I quickly found out maybe it's a bit unrealistic because there aren't many big houses with gardens. Well, there are, but Jakarta is a very high-rise city. So we did look at many apartments or condominiums, high-rises, but we ended up choosing a house in a compound, which for us it was a good compromise because we felt that we could just let our children roam around within the compound. We didn't have to worry about traffic. We could also meet other people, expat families, this compound. And we had some privacy because it's a house. So that was how we made our decision.
Okay. How about the pricing of the property rental?
It was certainly much higher than, for example, in Laos where we were before.
Yes.
I would say it's like for the really high-end places, it's not much different from US or Japan.
Yes.
I must say, it's lower, but it's not much.
So, Nami, since moving to Indonesia, right? How much of the local culture have you explored? Like, have you visited many holiday destinations, and also like which one is your favorite so far?
I mean, Indonesia in general, Nusantara.
Yes.
Well, first we came during the middle of COVID, so the first year and a half we didn't explore much. We started by going a few times to Bali.
Yeah.
When it was very empty.
Yes.
We've also been to recently last summer we went to Banda Neira, which was beautiful.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It took a while to get there, but just beautiful. And then just Yogyakarta, Solo, so a little bit, but not much beyond that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And how about the local culture? Like, you have experience?
I guess so. I like to walk around.
Mm-hmm.
So around my house in the Kampung Road.
Yes.
I like to visit markets.
Yes.
I have a friend. I like to visit the BSD, Pasar BSD, Pasar Modern, and also the Pasar Cipete. I like to kind of look at the produce and walk around.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see the musicians out on the roads when they have the festivals. So I enjoy that.
So before Jakarta, where were you living?
We were living in Alexandria, Virginia, which is very close to Washington, D.C. in the U.S.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you get the news that you're going to move to Indonesia, right? There must be like a certain presumption of Indonesia or Indonesian, the city of Jakarta. And so what was your presumption back then? And how did you, when you arrived, how did you the expectation versus the reality have?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Yes.
So my family, we lived in Laos in Southeast Asia for 6 years before. So that was a kind of reference.
Yes.
So we expected it to be maybe like Thailand, or
like Bangkok.
Or like Bangkok.
Yes.
Yeah. In terms of development level.
Yeah.
We expected kind of the Southeast Asia general culture, a little bit more relaxed, laid back than US or Japan. We also were looking forward to the fruits and like the good food. Yeah, maybe spicy.
Yes.
So we had a sense for what it might be like.
And does it deliver, or is it above your expectation or under your expectation? And
the relaxedness and the friendliness of people, the openness, it was more than we expected. It was really what we expected.
Yeah.
In terms of like the things that we were hoping, like just for daily necessities.
Yes.
There's everything is available.
Yes.
Except not exactly the same brands that we would have, in the US. But I mean, most everything was in terms of daily living. I never felt like we were lacking.
Because I think a lot of people who has never been to Asia or Southeast Asia, they had a very different perspective of, I guess they see that it's a village somehow if they don't do their research properly, they thought that they're coming to, let's say, the third world country, which is not true. A lot of people are actually surprised that Jakarta is quite developed, and even though the traffic and the infrastructure for transportation, for public transportation is not there yet, but it's actually quite modern, right?
It is very modern.
Yeah.
It's also there's a big range of things, or even in terms of food.
Yeah.
There are places where you can get noodles. For 25,000 rupiah. But then there are also really, really high-end places where you can spend more than $100.
Yeah.
So it's really there's a lot available. But if you come here thinking that everything's going to be really cheap, it's not. It's not cheap.
Yes.
And you will have to pay for, especially for imported products like cosmetics.
Yes.
Or, special brands.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are the cultural differences that stood out compared to what you are used to, actually?
Oh,
Yes.
well, because I was coming from the US.
Yes.
And the US is very, how do you say, like people are also very friendly, but it's very kind of, I would say, a little bit aggressive culture.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of loudness. But here it's, I was a bit surprised. People are quite open to sharing their personal stories about their families. And then they also want to know about me, my family, where I'm from, or what I think. Even taxi drivers, people I don't know well, they want to know about me. So I found that very, kind of, first I was like, oh, these people, they're so friendly. But it was, after a while, I like that.
Yeah.
And what else? What the cultural thing?
The cultural differences.
The cultural differences. Yeah. I find also it's somehow very hierarchical at the same time. There's a lot of respect towards people in authority. Sometimes I find people here don't say what they really think.
Yes.
And maybe because of that, partly. So I have to be very careful or vigilant and in communicating.
So, from your experience living in Jakarta for 3 years, right? Just for the audience, if there's any Japanese thinking about moving to Indonesia or working in Jakarta, like, is there any tips or recommendation about that they have to prepare, about the city itself and the culture itself?
Yeah. There's more to Indonesia than nasi goreng. I think that maybe my tip would be like let go of expectations about how things should be, or you wish it would be, or that it should be the same as Japan or wherever. But when you let go of those expectations, you could really start to enjoy.
After 3 years living in Jakarta, how has your life here influenced your personal growth and perspective on life compared to your life in Japan or in the US?
Wow. Living here, what I appreciate, what changed, or how I changed, right?
Yeah.
I find people are very human here, or they value the human connection.
Yes.
And I find that sometimes was missing in US or Japan.
Okay.
Where people are very focused on, like, maybe their own world or their own problems.
Yeah.
Or what they need to get done.
Yeah.
But here, people are a little bit more they want to make that connection.
Yeah.
And I find that I really like that aspect.
Okay, so finally, what advice would you give to other expats? Did we do this already? Especially, let's say, people coming from the US who are considering moving to Indonesia. What do they need to embrace?
I think the thing I mentioned about letting go of expectations. Open mind, open heart. I don't know. Get out and walk around.
Yes.
I know there are not many people walking around.
Yeah.
And maybe get to know, people in the areas that you're interested in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nami, for coming for today. And then we'll see you again hopefully soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you soon. Thank you.